Hi, my name is David Taylor with Twin Falls Estate Planning, and a lot of times I get asked, what's a will? And, I could very well start telling you the legal definition used to prove a probate court and yada, 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 but you're not going to pay attention, and no one does. Don't feel bad about that. So it's better if I show you what a will is. But I'm going to take a step back because it's easier to explain what a will is if I explain what probate is. And this is probate in its simplest form, but let's go for it. So when you pass away, if you own property, a few other requirements with that, but generally if you own property, especially real property, if you own a house, by law you are required to go through this process called probate. Probate is the way of the society getting rid of you. No offense, but we need to make sure that your debts are paid and that all of your property is distributed to the people it's supposed to go to. That's basically what probate is when you pass away. Right here, that's our first step, of course. Then the second thing is someone, we're going to eventually call this person the personal representative, someone has to petition with the court, and basically it gets filed with the judge to say, hey, so-and-so has passed away and I would like to be nominated as the personal representative. The personal representative can do basically anything you could do during your life. They can file a lawsuit on your behalf, they can perhaps run your business to wind down the affair, whatever it is that you could do during your life, the personal representative can do. So the personal representative gets appointed, and the first thing the personal representative has to do is within 90 days they have to create an inventory. So we have to let everyone know what you had and what your liabilities were. And this document does get filed with the court, so it becomes a matter of public record. So you may not like that to say, oh, my neighbor Susie after I died can go to the courthouse and see everything I had. Well, yeah, that's just the way it works. And the second thing that the personal representative does is they have to put the world on notice that you've passed away. This is generally done through a process called notice to creditors. You've likely seen it in a newspaper if you've ever come across it on your way to the comics, and it says, Jane Doe has passed away. Anyone who wants to make a claim against her estate, speak now or forever hold your peace. We have to let everyone have a chance to get a say, meaning, oh yeah, I think Jane Doe owes me money, and this is the process for doing it. So that has to be open for 120 days. So for 120 days, we have to sit there and wait for these creditors to come in and say, yes, I want my money. Once we determine who all of the creditors are, the next thing the personal representative does is pay the debts of the estate. And you know who's at the very top? There's a priority on who gets paid first. And at the very top, the very first person to get paid for all of their efforts is the attorney. You're very welcome. So after the attorney gets paid, after the personal representative gets paid, the funeral expenses, the hospital bills, all these things, then we create what's called the residuary. Now, by law, it takes 6 months to probate a case, so we have to wait 6 months before all is said and done, but we finally have our money. Yay! Now we can start handing out that money, and we hand it out to the heirs of the estate. So that's probate in its simplest form. So what does a will do? A will directs the probate court. I often tell clients that if you're writing a will, your audience is the judge. The judge oversees this entire process, and a will basically does two things in this process. Is number one, they nominate the personal representative. So in your will, you say, I want so-and-so to be my personal representative. Second, they determine who the beneficiaries of your estate are going to be. And that's it. You might see a will that says, the personal representative must pay my taxes. Well, yeah, no kidding. That's already here. We have that laid out. The will cannot change these things, right? You can't do a will that says, I don't want my inventory to be filed with the court. You can't do a will that says, I want my personal representative to withhold from putting something in the newspaper that I passed away. So a will basically does these two things, but perhaps this is the most important thing, is they determine what the end result is going to be. Now, there's a few options for that as we talk about a will. Some people will look at this and they say, why do I need to go through that? And the answer is you don't have to. There are ways that you can bypass probate. One of the most common options is to put things into a revocable living trust, which is a discussion for another day. So if someone comes to you and they say, hey, I want to get my will done, then this is the process that they're talking about, is they're going to direct the probate court when they pass away on how their assets are going to be managed and distributed.